Today, I wanted to share with you a real use that I'm getting out of AI, and it's related to my wife's car. So she's got a 2020 Chevy Traverse. A couple of years ago, we had to replace the alternator. Don't have a ton of miles on it, but went ahead and got it replaced. And the other day, we ended up having an alert come on the dashboard. Looks like the alternator's going again. And so, you know, it's around $1,000 or so, maybe a little more to get it replaced, parts and labor. But I was like, okay, this feels wrong. Like we just got this replaced a couple years ago. The car's not that old. I had a car from the 90s that I think I replaced the alternator once on it in like 200,000 miles. And so I looked it up. And so this is one of the things that I used my AI system for. I said, hey, look, here's what I've got. Basically here are the details. I got it replaced a couple of years ago. We've only put 8,000 miles on the car since the last time it got the alternator changed. And so the first thing I did was like, okay, so what is an alternator expected to last? As it turns out, around 100,000 miles. We don't have 100,000 miles on the car, so we should need to replace the alternator 2 years in. But then I was like, okay, this feels like a problem that isn't going to occur one time. It's going to occur over and over, right? And so I told my AI system, hey, like, go out and do some research and let me know if there's anything you can find on any patterns of what people are complaining about. Sure enough, turns out that GM's alternators, you know, produced in the last couple of years, have kind of this known pattern of failure. And it has something to do with, like, I guess the quality of the connections they make. And so I got actually this whole set of recommendations on what should be checked in addition to the alternator for kind of being known to be faulty parts. Okay, cool. Now, the next piece of the puzzle is going to be figuring out how do I get GM to actually take care of this? Because the thing is, I don't have $1,000 to throw on an alternator right now. And even if I did, I don't want to because I shouldn't have to, right? And this is one of the things that I've been really getting annoyed at by the state of the economy because all of this financial burden is being put on people who don't have the means to deal with it. And so it just creates these cascading problems, right? So as I'm trying to fight GM on this, my wife's taking my car, and so I'm doing a bit more walking. Good thing L City's within walking distance because that's basically the only place I go. But I think the key here is that I really want to be able to reach out to GM and have them take care of it. And so I had my system put together a draft of a letter to GM, and basically it says, "Hey, look, here's what the problem is, and here's kind of the patterns that we've noticed in terms of what the parts are doing, kind of failing on a repeatable pattern, and we want you to cover the parts and the labor." And basically, kind of checking all these additional parts as well and seeing if they need replaced and covering those. In addition to that, and more importantly, what we're doing as part of this letter is actually saying, like, and if this isn't something that you're willing to do, like, we'll probably take this to small claims court. Because the reality of our economy right now is that you're not going to get people to pay attention to you unless you cause them enough pain to make them have to pay attention to you. And I've tried really hard to avoid causing a bunch of pain to the systems because I know that there are people downstream of these systems that have to, kind of deal with all of that. And so I've been hesitant. But in this case, I'm not actually causing like trouble for someone. It's more of a, hey, look, this is what's going to happen. You can help us out. You can take care of this, or the next step is court. And this is something that it's not something that I would come up with on my own. That's not even something that I'm terribly comfortable saying. I'm typically, conflict avoidant here, so I'm not one to necessarily go around like threatening lawsuits or anything. But In this case, it's actually exactly what the court system is designed for. But we've inflated it to a place where it's out of reach for most people until you factor in AI bringing the cost down. And so suddenly, someone without a legal background, but kind of an understanding of basically how the law functions, can use these tools to allow them to access systems that were previously inaccessible. And that's the part that I think is really powerful with AI, and that the powers that be haven't quite caught on yet. And so I'm going to document kind of how this goes and, see if that it actually gets GM to replace our alternator. Because frankly, um, yeah, I don't want to pay for another fucking alternator on a car that's, you know, half the age of my Subaru, that I've never replaced the alternator on. And it's, it's one of these patterns of failure that the economy isn't fixing on its own. Um, and I think with AI systems, we're actually going to be able to integrate these kind of observational data systems that kind of all feed back into each other to make this kind of data aggregation a lot cheaper and easier for companies to do. And I think that's basically the main reason that a lot of these failures are happening. It's because the systems that we have don't enable easy communication of the different failure points. And over time, various pressures coming in from like people starting to threaten lawsuits and, all of this, it's going to force systems to change in ways that, cause them to adapt to kind of the changing market. And so what we can do here is we can actually use this as a way to strengthen the economy for everyday consumers by putting protections in place of basically automated systems that say if you don't deliver what you say you're going to deliver, then there are going to be consequences that are guaranteed. It's not a matter of if you get caught, it'll be enforced. It's a matter of this is automatically enforced by the market. And that's where I think that we're getting to with AI systems. And that's the part that I'm excited for. So anyway, I'll keep you updated on the saga. I'm letting myself run with it and just see how well my AI does, in terms of navigating the court system and the GM customer service department. I'm not sure which is more complex and harder to kind of contact and reach. So I'll let you know, and we'll find out together, and we'll see how the progress goes for bringing AI to Main Street. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.